All right, second graders, our objective for today is to measure lengths of string using measurement tools and to use tape diagrams to represent and compare the lengths. So a lot of times when you have to measure things that are round, you can't use your ruler because your ruler can't fit something that is curvy like this. You would have a difficult time laying it down, measuring a side, and then continuing on. So we're going to be using a string to help us, and then we're going to mark an area on that string to then take that to your ruler or your meter stick. Then after you do that, we need to compare lengths, and we're going to be doing that by using what we call tape diagrams. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and talk about the tape diagrams right now. Let's look at if I were to measure the length of this squiggly line compared to this zigzag line. We don't really know the exact length of them without laying our string down on top. And then once you have your string laid down, then you would have a red, I'm going to change that, and then you would lay your string over, measure it exactly, and then straighten it out to measure the string onto the ruler. So we're going to pretend that that red string, I'm going to put red down here, is 3 meters. So I'm going to put a 3 here, meters. And remember, there's 100 centimeters in 1 meter. So that would be like 300 centimeters there. Then I'm going to change the color here, and the zigzag line will be our blue line. So if I measured that with my string, I would have to measure it completely and making sure that those points even have the right part of the string on there. So then let's say that's actually 5 meters long. So then I have a blue. All right, so now I've got my red and my blue. So now I'm going to go back to the black color. And this is what is the actual tape diagram. So comparing, I'm going to draw a bar that represents 3 meters. So then I can say up here, that's 3 meters. And then I'm going to represent a blue bar that's showing a little bit longer. Now here's the great thing, you don't have to be exact on showing. You just have to represent the blue bar being longer, since we're saying the zigzag line or the blue line is actually 5 meters. So then I'm going to label this 5 meters. So what we need to do now is, if I were to say how much longer is the blue line than the red line, then we take what's missing right here. Do you notice how if I were to draw a line, that all compares? And now this one's a little bit sloppy, but you can see right there that they line up to both the sides. And it's important to see that, so then that way when you're comparing, you can totally see that they should be the same. So now I have 5 meters and 3 meters. And if I want to know how much longer the blue line is than the red line, I need to compare those. So I compare, subtract. So I then take 5 minus 3 equals blank. And I know 5 minus 3 is 2. So there's 2 meters. Let's go ahead and take a look at another one. So on my next slide here, if I can, there we go. I have to solve, oops, I pushed the wrong. I'm going to pretend that I measured my head. My head, I'm going to say, was, let's say that was 56 centimeters. And then I measured my wrist. My wrist, let's say, is 16 centimeters. And then I measured my neck. My neck is 30 centimeters. So then if I were to show those in comparison bars, I know 56 is going to be the longest. So I need to make sure that represents the longest on the tape diagram. And then my wrist is the shortest. So now I'm going to show that here. And then my neck is 30 centimeters. So I know that's probably going to be somewhere in between. So you can see they're not all perfect. They're not showing like a complete representation, but you can tell that 30 centimeters is smaller than 56 centimeters. And the 16 centimeters is smaller than the 30 centimeters. So you can completely see using the tape diagram how we can compare. And the tape diagrams are important to understand now as second graders because you will be using them all the way until you are even in 6th grade. So as second graders, we need to get real good at them. So then that way when you go to 3rd grade, 4th grade, 5th grade, and 6th grade, you will know what to do. Okay, so if I decided to compare the lengths here, let's look at that again. I'm going to compare, let's do the head to the neck. So I'm just going to write an H for head and an N for neck. So my head I'm going to draw as the longest bar. So again, I've labeled that as 56 centimeters. And my neck I said was 30. So I'm going to make that smaller. And that was 30 centimeters. So now here's where, and sorry about that, and here's where I have to solve what is the difference. So when I find the difference, I have to do what? Compare, subtract. Very good. So now we need to take 56 because 56 is that larger number. Minus 30 equals, oh my goodness, you guys, guess what? There is nothing in the ones place. Since there is nothing in the ones place, I can just automatically say, I know 6 will go there. So 6 is in the ones place. So now all I really have to do is 5 minus 3. And I know from the last slide, 5 minus 3 equals 2. So the difference between my head and my neck size is 26 centimeters. Did everybody see that? 26 centimeters is the difference. So then that would go here, 26 centimeters. Let's do another one. Okay, so if I had, let's do some strings again. So again, here's my first path. I'm going to call that path 1. Path 1. And then my next one is this way. I'll call that path 2. Oops, my A didn't work. Sorry about that. Path 2. And then my third path will be a zigzag. And I'll call that path 3. So now what I need to do is compare. So I'm going to use my string. I'm going to measure them. So I've got my string and I'm going to measure it. And then I lay it out flat on my ruler. And my ruler says it is, I'm going to put a 1 here. My ruler says my first path is 14 centimeters. And then on my second line, my path shows path 3 is 12, or I'm sorry, path 2 is 12 centimeters. And then path 3, I'm going to measure with my string. And this one is 17 centimeters. So again, using my tape diagram, I have to decide which one is going to be the larger one versus the smaller. But I want to compare path 2 with path 3. So path 2 is 12 centimeters. Is that shorter or longer than path 3? You should say shorter because 12 is less than 17. And now path 3 is 17. And since it's longer, I need to actually make that longer. I've been doing tape diagrams where the larger number is on top, but this time it's actually on the bottom. So path 2, we said, is 12 centimeters. Path 3 is 17 centimeters. And I want to know how much shorter path 2 is than path 3. Oops, I did not mean to do that. Where's my eraser here? There we go. Go back to my pen. Perfect. This is a question mark. There we go. So path 2 is how much shorter than path 3? We need to compare, subtract. 17 minus 12 equals. Now I can use my ruler to help me, or I can use my ruler to help me with a number line, and I can just count on from 12. Or I can do 17 minus 12 because I know 7 minus 2. And 7 minus 2 equals 5. And then I still have a 10 in each of those numbers, so then 10 minus 10 equals 0. So the difference between the two is 5 centimeters. So I can say path 2 is 5 centimeters shorter than path 3, or I can say path 3 is 5 centimeters longer than path 2. So again, I want to reiterate for you that we are using string to help us measure when things are curved or not so straight, because using a straight ruler would not allow that. So you could use a meter tape, or you could just use a string to line it up with the ruler. And then we're using the tape diagrams to compare.